Hi everyone. So we wanted to do this particular video because Agile Caribbean Link is now 3 years old. And so to commemorate this auspicious occasion, we thought it would be fitting for us to do a video talking about just some of the lessons that we've learned over the 3 years. So let's just get straight into it.
So I think one of the first lessons, and you would agree, Shan, is starting with your why. And it was important for us because when we even think about how Agile Caribbean Link was formed, it was just out of a sheer passion. But after being introduced to Agile and just what it represents, to figure out how it is that we can also help persons to understand this new way of working. I mean, looking back, it felt revolutionary. It was totally different from what we were used to. And so we wanted to just somehow bring others in, separate from what we were doing in our day-to-day work. And so we took on this passion project. And I can tell you, it's not necessarily that it has been the easiest thing for Shan and I, because I always say to people, we have our regular 9 to 5. We have other things that we're trying to do as well. But I guess naming it our passion project has made a difference, because we always look back at what that why is. And that is what is driving everything behind the passion that we're doing with Agile Caribbean. So even when we feel down and out and, I don't find any words to post today, like, all right, yeah, we went through a circumstance or a scenario and we're like, yes, this is a good opportunity to share some learnings, but can't necessarily just find the energy to do it today. We take a step back and just look at, okay, why are we even doing this? When persons reach out to us even to have conversations, I mean, sometimes we may be tired and it's like, I'd rather just really just sit and roll over right now and not think. Just the fact that somebody has an interest and may have seen something that we have said or posted or something sparks again that fire in us to say, all right, let's just try and schedule something. Let's just at least start with the 5-minute conversation and see where it goes from there. And I mean, all of it comes back to just understanding what the why is. And it's not only just the why for Agile Caribbean Link for us, it's also our personal whys. And it takes me back, Shant, when we were introduced to the whole concept of, as opposed to setting a resolution or New Year's resolutions, just choosing what our word or our phrase is for the year. And I think that has helped significantly in terms of just the words that we have chosen. And again, in some of those instances where we may not be feeling, high on the mountain, just looking back at what the word is or the phrase that we have selected and just pushing forward. So everything ties back to the why. Anything to add on that point, Shan?
Yeah, and I guess I just want to reiterate our why for Agile Caribbean Link, and it's also just to create a community for Caribbean Agilists to grow and learn and share together, because there is so much happening in our individual spaces and there are so many similarities. Even if our industries differ, even if our situations differ. And we just figure it may just be a useful opportunity as Agile is growing in the Caribbean to create like a backlog of information, Caribbean based, so that other newer Agilists coming up, they'll have a local or regional resource that they can tap into. So that's the only thing I'd add.
Good. So what's the next one you wanted to talk a little bit?
So let's talk a little bit about starting small and keeping it simple. So in our pre-Agile lifetimes, I'm sure we can all agree that we were all about the Big Bang and the perfection and completeness and, putting your best foot forward, and the best foot had to be the ultimate delivery of whatever it is that you're going after. With Agile Caribbean Link, it was our perfect opportunity to personally explore how do we start small. And how did we start small? We started with a blog. And our blog today looks nothing like our day one blog. Okay. I remember, I think it was last year, Nicola found a screenshot of what our first blog template looked like. And I'm like, I don't even remember this. And so sometimes it's important that you remember, start small, keep it simple. And I think the biggest step that we've learned about this whole journey, Nicola, is just to get started. And so we started with one blog, and each week we tried to find another blog, and we found guest persons to add newer blogs when we were probably running low on words. And we're so grateful for the support we've gotten over the years from those persons who've contributed. And so we just want to encourage you, if you have a dream, if you have a vision of something you're trying to get done, start small and keep it simple. Anything to add, Nikki?
Definitely. I mean, you mentioned the starting small with the blog, but even thinking about our logo, when you look at our first logo as well and how it has evolved, I mean, we started by trying something, just creating something that represented, or we thought represented Agile and the Caribbean, and we went with it. And I remember, I think it was the second go around when we were just iterating on what that first logo looks like. We had some of our team members at the time just to give us some feedback on some other options that we're looking at.
Yeah.
And then also evolved again where we actually get somebody who actually had the expertise to prepare a logo for us, and from that, of course, we have our icon. So, I mean, the definition of starting small is no way lost on us. We just started very small. We had control of. Even in terms of the videos and the podcasts that we're doing, it's a reason why we started with blogs, because that's our comfort zone. We can sit and write and write and write and write and write and write.
Yeah.
We are not necessarily the most we are far from being the most extroverted persons who just gladly jump on a video or have a podcast conversation or anything like that.
Yeah.
So we started with the blog, and then we slowly but surely pull ourselves out of our comfort zones, just explore other avenues. And I mean, it has been fun. And I think one of the biggest learnings for me from that as well, Shan, is the fact that we just can't take ourselves too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
If we look back now and we're like, I'm certain some persons may say, the quality of this may not have been the best. But what we were trying to do is to make sure that we're communicating what we were learning. So even if video quality, even the sound quality wasn't necessarily the best, we still push forward, because again, we tied it back to the why and what we were trying to accomplish, and we were not aiming for perfection. We were just trying to get the information as best as
Definitely. And I think somehow you have ventured off into our third point, which is to iterate and add as you go along. But just to reiterate what you've been saying, Nikki, I think just being deliberate about starting and then finding your groove after you've started, figuring out what needs to be tweaked, what isn't working, what's working well, and keep doing those things that are working well and make some changes to whatever isn't working well. It's important to also, take that time to retrospect, find opportunities to get feedback on what you've done so far, and then add. As Nicola said, eventually we added a podcast, we added YouTube, and we've added some other social media platforms that we're present on. We may not be too active on them, but we're there. Presence counts. But in whatever it is that you're doing, start small, iterate, add as you're going along, getting that feedback, getting some retrospective time in, and just learning from what you've done so far and figuring out where your next steps are gonna go. So,
and now we're going into, I think this is one of the areas that we have been doing some personal introspection on as well, and it's just being okay with the fact that it's also okay to slow down sometime when life is busy life. A lot has happened over the course of the past 2 years, and I mean, I think what is good, even in terms of the interactions and the type of relationship that Shan and I have and what we are trying to do at Agile Caribbean Link, I can tell you, sometimes when I feel at my lowest moments and I can't push, Shan pushes a little harder and vice versa. But it's also giving that balance, because there's sometimes when, as much as you try from the tip of your toe, it's just not happening naturally. And so I guess it somehow ties into, it's important to also have a good partner, a good accountability partner in anything that you're doing. So it's okay, one, to know when to slow down. Life happens. We just have to be practical and realistic about what happens.
Yeah.
But also, when you have somebody who, again, understands the vision and the passion and the why behind why you're doing something, they can also help you to slack. Because we can all agree, we're not always at a success reality.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people wouldn't know that, over the past 2 years, I've been working on my MBA. And because of that, a lot of the work for Agile Caribbean Link fell on your shoulders, Nicola. And I'm going to take this time publicly to shout out for all you've done to keep Agile Caribbean Link alive. I know we still have a lot of dreams and a lot of plans, coming for Agile Caribbean Link. But, I just wanted to stop right now as we're retrospecting to just acknowledge all that you've done so far. And, kudos to you. Kudos to you. I could not have had a better accountability partner along this journey to walk with. So big up yourself.
Why are you doing this? But I mean, funny enough, I'm sitting here talking and I'm remembering 2020 when COVID hit, and I certainly remember when excitement in my house. Okay, because I anybody knows me, they know that I'm extremely paranoid when it just comes to COVID. Because my fear is catching it and passing it on to someone without even knowing, and perhaps that person is not able to deal with it because they may have, whatever other underlying illness. And so I remember in that August when we had our first encounter in my house, I felt like everything was on lockdown. The house, mental, like everything about what I was doing was drained. Everything stopped. I couldn't work. But Agile Caribbean Link didn't stop. Because there was Sean hammering away. And I know it may not have been the easiest. Because I not only relied on her for Agile Caribbean Link, but just for everything else. Because I just felt like I was in a space where I'm certain I wasn't thinking clearly. It sounds a little bit dramatic now, but it's just the reality of what was happening at the time. So I must say to you, my friend, as well, big ups. A lot of the things I've accomplished over the past few years, you have been right there, and I really appreciate it. Yeah.
No problem, man, no problem. So we're going to wrap this up with talking about that it's okay if you don't feel supported. It's just important that you keep going. And, we think it's an important point because I think particularly over the last year, it's been very challenging to get new people to either write blogs with us or to just do a quick interview with us. We get a lot of yeses, by the way. But somehow along the lines, just coordinating, getting the actual blog written or getting the interview scheduled sometimes has been challenging. But I think the important thing that I've learned over the past 3 years is that you keep going. It doesn't matter if, the person who you thought would have done something because, I thought we were close, they don't show up. That's perfectly okay. They may have things going on in their own lives, and that's fine. So I think it's also important that we give each other grace to, not hold it against them. But at the same time, you don't lose sight of what you're trying to accomplish. Don't lose sight of the goals you have set for, yourself, or in this case for Agile Caribbean Link. We're going to keep going. So when you're going tired, fix it with face. That's not a nice thing to say, but you get the point, that we're going to keep going. We're not going to give up on this because it's opened a lot of doors for us. We've, had a lot of interesting meetings and conversations with people who otherwise we would not have had that opportunity to do so. So, Agile Caribbean Link, we owe you a lot too.
So I guess on that note, we'll wrap for today. Thank you very much for, as always, joining the conversation, just listening to us. And if you have anything that you want to reach out and say, feel free to DM us. We're always on LinkedIn. You can also reach us on IG. We know we have persons who have some connections in terms of email and stuff. So feel free to reach out to us via any channel. We're here and we're always up to have a conversation. And thank you as always for your support. We're at 3 years and we have many more. We're focused on the why. So thank you guys.
Talk soon.
What's up?
What happened?
Eh?
What happened?
More fly out. More fly. Oh.
Well, there goes a blooper.
Boy, yeah, side flying.
Smile, ready? Smile, big smile. Big smile.
Then you know how much bigger you want to go. So.
This one wasn't.
It was the smell of my teeth, yes?
Yes.
No, when me bust out that big dirty laugh.
Laugh now.
But I'm gonna get a joke, this.
I am the joke.